Hey all, this is Dr. Dan, your BME 303L professor. And so this video, I'm going to show you how to install Arduino and everything we need for our instrumentation lab in class. So we're going to go to software, and you're going to want to install the Arduino development environment. So there's a bunch of things we need to do for that. First of all, we're going to download the Arduino software itself. Then we have some libraries we need to install. We can install them from these zip files, but I find it's much easier to just use the Arduino software itself. So these will kind of be backup for us. And then finally, we want to download all the code you're going to need. You're not going to need to write a ton of Arduino code. I have all that written for you, but you'll need them on your computer. So let's start off downloading the Arduino software. So we're going to want to download the latest version of the software. You can see there's a couple options depending on what computer you have, Windows or the Mac. So you'll just click those, download, install. I'm just going to have the demo for the Windows version. If you have a Mac, just make sure you're paying attention to whether you have an older Mac that has an Intel chip, and so you need this top one, or if you have a newer one with a Apple chip, and so this bottom one. We're just going to choose the Windows installer, this top one, and I just want to download it. All right, so once it's downloaded, we can run the Arduino setup file. And so we say, I agree. I am going to set it for all users just because this is my computer. And it asks us where to install it, so I'm just going to keep the default on that. Okay, it does take a quick minute to install, but then we're able to run it. So I'm just going to leave it after we finish installing and run and make sure it's going to work. All right, and this is what happens when it comes up. This is just an empty sketch that you would use. You can say it's saying there's updates for some of my libraries and some of my boards. I'm going to do later for now, so for this purpose of this video. While we do have the Arduino development environment set up, we don't have it ready for lab necessarily, right? So the first thing we're going to want to do is over here we can install the libraries we need. So I'm going to go back to our Canvas page, and you can see we have 5 libraries we need to install. Okay, so I can see if we can see all these. And so here's the library manager. And so I'm going to search to find the library to see if I can install it. So this first one is called Max 31856. Okay, and there you'll notice there's several of them. We want to go ahead and make sure we install the Adafruit Max 31856. So I'll hit install on that. And this says there is a dependency it's needed. So usually when you install something and it says, hey, we need something else installed, you have to do it. So we'll hit install all on that. And it does its job. It says it's successfully installed. So we're pretty happy about that. You can then see after we install it, under here it says the version. It says 1.2.7 installed. Okay, so that's good. The next thing is the MLX90614. Okay, and again, there's several of these. The one thing I do want to point out here is I have this warning, right? It says you must not use the current version of the MLX library, right? You have to install a prior video. So I know version 1.1.1 will work. And so instead of installing version 2.1.5, we're going to use a drop-down menu and do 1.1.1 and hit install. Okay, and it says you have version 1.1.1 installed. If you accidentally just went ahead and installed 2.1.5, it's no big deal. You can just do the drop-down and hit install the older version. And you can see it wants us to update to a newer version, but we're not going to do that. Okay, the next library is the Max 31850, so I'll do a search for that. And you can see there's 2 of these, right? There's the Dallas temp and there's the 1-wire. Okay, and so it's going to be these. You can see there's this other one up here that's just Max 31850, but I need these 2 bottom ones, right? And this actually says it's already installed, so that's good. So I'm not going to mess around with that. But now I'll go to RTC-lib. It's our last one. Okay, so there's a bunch of these. And again, it says RTC-lib by Adafruit already installed. And now I think what happened here is I must have had a older version of Arduino installed on here, and I uninstalled it at some point, and now I'm reinstalling it again, and the libraries must have stayed around, right? Because I can see that it says version 2.1.3 is installed, but we can update to 2.1.4. So I'm going to go ahead and hit update on that. Again, install all the dependencies. So that worked. And so that's probably what happened with the Max 31850 libraries too, is I had them installed already before. But anyway, now we have all the libraries installed that we need. Again, this library manager is a good way to check what libraries you do have installed, what versions you have, if you want to find a new library or something. So that's a good thing to do. And just for your information and learning, we do have these zip files that we could download and install too. So if you ever found an Arduino library on the internet that was in a zip file and you wanted to install it, what you would do is you'd go over to your menu and there's up here sketch, and you can go to include library, and it says add zip library, right? So you click on add zip library, it lets you select that from your computer. So I'd like go to my downloads folder and therefore be able to get the zip library that I downloaded. But I'm not going to do that because we already installed it. Okay, so we have our libraries installed. The other thing we need to install is make sure we install the boards. Okay, this depends on what kind of Arduino or what kind of microcontroller you're using. So we can hover this and see what boards are covered, right? In our class in BME 303L, we are using the Arduino Uno. And so that happens to fall under the AVR boards. If you use any of the like Arduino Nanos or anything like that, you would have to install this ESP32 boards. I do have an old version of this installed as well, so I'm just going to go ahead and update just to make sure I have the latest version. Okay, so now I have everything installed, and the last thing I need to do is download my sketches, okay, or these are the programs that we run. So I'm going to download them all. They'll show up in my downloads folder. I'm just going to leave them there for now, but you would be wise to stick them someplace else in like your class folder or someplace in your documents directory or something like that so you have them. Okay, so I can say open a sketch here. So I go to open. Again, these are in my downloads. So I'm going to open this thermistor logger. So we get a warning that comes up that says the file thermistorlogger.ino needs to be inside a sketch folder named thermistorlogger. And it says create this folder, remove it, and you're just going to say yes. Okay, and so I'll show you what happened. So it's going to load this sketch into its own thing. If we go to our downloads, you can see it move that thermistorlogger.ino into a folder. And for whatever reason, Arduino just needs it that way. So it did that for us. Okay. And then if we want to test if this is going to work, what we're going to do is we're going to try to compile the program and see if it will compile. So we need to select a board. As I said, we're using the Arduino Uno. So I'll scroll down to that. Hit OK. So once you plug in the Arduino in lab, it'll actually, it'll show you like what port it's on, but I don't have it plugged in because you won't have it plugged in if you're not in lab, but we do just want to see if we can compile it. So I'm going to click the verify to do that. If you had your Arduino Uno plugged in and you wanted to compile and upload, you would hit this arrow that says upload. So I'm going to try to compile this. Okay, and that worked. You see there's no errors. That makes me feel pretty good that what we've done is correct. So I would do that before lab for all the programs, make sure I can compile all 4 of these sketches that you downloaded, and then you'll be ready for lab.